There was a time when Egypt's military echoed across the Arab world with power, prestige, and pride. The beating heart of Arab nationalism, the vanguard of resistance, the titan of the Six-Day War and Yom Kippur. But somewhere along the line, the lion fell silent. For decades, critics described Egypt's armed forces as bloated, outdated, and unfit for modern warfare. Once feared, Egypt became an afterthought in regional military calculations. That is, until now. Egypt is making a colossal military comeback, a resurrection of power that is shaking up the balance in the Middle East. But to understand how we got here, we need to rewind the clock. In the 20th century, Egypt stood as a regional colossus. With Soviet-supplied tanks and MiGs, Cairo's military machine was a force to be reckoned with. Its battles in 1948, 1956, 1967, and 1973 made headlines across the globe. But what followed was stagnation. The 1980s and 90s saw Egypt gradually fall behind. Political instability, corruption, and an aging arsenal turned a once proud force into a hollow shell. The military, though still large in numbers, was mocked as inefficient and top-heavy. Tanks gathered dust. Jets sat idle. Soldiers were undertrained and under-equipped. A regional titan had become a paper tiger. The decline wasn't just technical, it was systemic. Egypt's economy, often fragile and dependent on external aid, struggled to support high defense budgets. Political leadership prioritized internal control over modernization. The peace treaty with Israel shifted Egypt's focus inward. Strategic complacency set in. Then came the 2011 revolution. Chaos gripped the country. The military, rather than modernizing, was busy preserving order. Terrorism surged in the Sinai Peninsula. Regional rivals like Turkey, Israel, and the Gulf states accelerated ahead. Egypt remained stuck in the past. It was the 2010s that delivered a brutal reality check. The region was on fire. The rise of ISIS and Al-Qaeda affiliates brought chaos to North Africa. Sinai became a battleground where Egyptian troops faced ambushes, IEDs, and guerrilla tactics in a deadly game of cat and mouse. But the threats weren't just from non-state actors. In Libya, chaos spilled across the western border. In Sudan, instability brewed. Ethiopia's construction of the Grand Renaissance Dam upstream on the Nile posed a direct threat to Egypt's lifeblood, its water security. Meanwhile, Turkey was flexing its military muscles in the eastern Mediterranean. All at once, Egypt realized it was encircled by instability, competition, and potential conflict. The military could no longer afford to be reactive. Cairo needed a credible deterrent, a force that could project power, protect borders, and secure influence. This was not a drill. It was survival. A military that had long been reactive began to think proactively. Since 2014, Egypt has launched one of the most ambitious military modernization efforts in the Arab world, a campaign to rebuild, rearm, and reassert itself as a regional heavyweight. This is not a patchwork repair of broken systems. It's a complete overhaul, driven by necessity and executed with precision. At the core of this transformation is a massive arms acquisition program. Egypt is now the third largest arms importer globally, a testament to its urgency and scale. The Egyptian Air Force has seen a dramatic facelift. It acquired 24 Rafale fighter jets from France, advanced multi-role aircraft capable of both air superiority and deep strike missions. From Russia came 50 MiG-29Ms, bringing versatility and power. A deal was signed for 32 Su-35s, though delivery remains in limbo due to international pressure. Nonetheless, these purchases mark a decisive shift from aging legacy platforms to cutting-edge technology. The Navy, once considered symbolic rather than strategic, is now a regional force to be reckoned with. Egypt became the first non-NATO country to operate Mistral-class amphibious assault ships, 2 of which were purchased from France. These floating fortresses can carry helicopters, troops, and armor into battle, perfect for projecting power in the Red Sea and Mediterranean. Egypt also acquired a FREMM-class multi-purpose frigate and a growing fleet of Gowind-class corvettes, giving it control over sea lanes and coastal defense. On the ground, Egypt has revitalized its armored divisions with over 1,000 M1A1 Abrams tanks, built domestically in partnership with the United States. These main battle tanks form the backbone of Egypt's armored might. Infantry fighting vehicles, new artillery systems, and mobile air defense units have also been integrated into the force structure. Air defense, once a glaring vulnerability, has become a priority. The deployment of the Russian S-300VM missile system adds long-range, high-altitude protection, complementing existing medium and short-range systems. This layered approach ensures that strategic locations, military bases, and urban centers are shielded from aerial threats. But it's not just about quantity. Egypt has embraced technological modernization as well. The country is investing in drone warfare, cyber capabilities, and electronic warfare systems. Partnerships with China have brought in surveillance drones, and domestic projects are underway to build indigenous UAVs. Egypt has also launched military satellites, giving it a new edge in reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Training has improved too. Joint exercises with global powers from the US and France to Russia and the UAE are more frequent and complex, designed to prepare Egyptian forces for high-intensity warfare, amphibious operations, and counterinsurgency. These drills are not for show. They are laying the groundwork for an expeditionary force capable of operating beyond national borders. In less than a decade, Egypt has gone from struggling to maintain its existing force to building a military machine that is modern, mobile, and lethal. The comeback isn't just real, it's redefining the country's place on the world stage. Egypt's military revival is not happening in isolation. It is deeply intertwined with a set of carefully cultivated international relationships. France has emerged as a top-tier supplier, providing Egypt with cutting-edge Rafale fighter jets, advanced naval vessels, and comprehensive training programs that help modernize Egypt's command and control capabilities. Meanwhile, Russia has re-established itself as a key defense partner. The procurement of MiG-29Ms, the planned Su-35s, and discussions around air defense technology all underscore a strong and pragmatic relationship that gives Egypt access to an alternative arsenal beyond the West. Despite moments of tension, the United States remains a foundational ally. Egypt still receives more than $1 billion annually in military aid from Washington, a legacy of the Camp David Accords that continues to influence Cairo's strategic calculus. This aid facilitates the maintenance and co-production of U.S. origin systems like the Abrams tank, and it ensures that Egypt stays embedded within the broader Western security framework. China, often operating behind the scenes, is becoming increasingly important. Its growing role in Egypt's defense technology sector, particularly in drone development and surveillance systems, signals a shift toward a more diversified supplier base. In doing so, Egypt is hedging its bets, avoiding overdependence on any single power while leveraging competition among great powers to its advantage. Through these partnerships, Egypt is not just importing weapons, it is importing influence, training, and leverage. The country is playing a complex diplomatic game, positioning itself as a central node between East and West, and between tradition and modernity. Under President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the Egyptian military is not just modernizing equipment, but itself. Reforms have targeted corruption and professionalism. Officer training programs are being revamped, and a new emphasis on cyber warfare, logistics, and asymmetric warfare has emerged. There's a renewed pride among conscripts. New military cities are being constructed. Morale, once low, is now central to the regime's national project. This resurgence is altering regional dynamics. In Libya, Egypt backs the LNA and projects influence westward. In the Red Sea, its navy patrols with growing confidence. In Africa, Cairo is assertive over Nile River disputes. Egypt has even held joint drills with Greece, Cyprus, France, and the UAE, signaling a new strategic orientation. The message? Egypt is back. Not everything is smooth sailing. Critics argue Egypt is overextending. Much of its spending is on prestige platforms rather than sustainability. Human rights issues have strained ties with Western backers. Economic woes continue to limit domestic production capacity. And then there's the question of doctrine. Is Egypt ready for 21st century hybrid warfare, or is it buying tools without adapting strategy? Egypt's ambitions are clear. Regional leadership, military deterrence, and strategic autonomy. It wants to be the power that holds the Middle East's fragile equilibrium. Its military revival signals a new phase for Arab power projection. If the comeback stays on course, Egypt may once again become the cornerstone of Arab defense. But that future depends on vision, not just firepower. The lion may have slept for decades, but it has risen again, cloaked in Rafales, armored in Abrams, and determined to make sure the world never forgets what it means when Egypt roars.